All right, everyone, for the first time that I know of, a sitting Democratic congressperson has told Hillary Clinton, just go away. In no uncertain terms, Heitkamp, a Democrat in the Senate, think about how much you have to have quite big balls to be a Democrat within the Senate, even despite being female, to tell the Clintons to fuck off, basically. Like, few Republicans want to go up against it. They're afraid they'll be labeled sexist or bigoted, or they're an extremist, they're like far right. There's something wrong with them because they told this wonderful lady, Hillary Clinton, just to go away. So Heitkamp maybe is setting herself up for the future, realizing what, sane people have realized for a year, which is the Clintonian era is over. Look, Bill's fallen out of favor. Bill Clinton, who was ranked, he was like a top quarter president. He's fallen down 10 points in the presidential greatness rankings. Now think of this. Recent living Democrat. There's no way that all of these liberal political scientists want to give him low marks, but they have to give him a 0 on his legacy because ultimately his legacy becomes nothing more than sexual scandals. For which there's actual evidence, and I'm not talking about Monica Lewinsky, who fucking cares about that. Yeah, lying under oath is a bad thing, getting his cock sucked in a consensual manner, that's the least of his problems. He's got, 3, 4 other women who claimed, oh yeah, he groped me up. He sexually assaulted me, he was being lewd with me and stuff. So Bill Clinton allegedly sexually assaults all sorts of people. Meanwhile, all right-wing watch could talk about some YouTuber who says, oh yeah, 10 years ago, I took the condom off or something. And by the way, nobody had a problem with it or brought any actual case forward in a civil or criminal proceeding. Bill Clinton, no, he's blameless. Cenk is blameless. All these people are blameless. Okay, it makes perfect sense. Not political reasons for these sort of hit pieces. But a Democrat calling out the Clintons is the death knell of Clintonian neoliberalism. Look, Bill can't defend him. He's old. He's less coherent than he used to be. Although he looks like he's recovered some from being dragged out on the campaign trail. Well after his prime, Hillary's like, you're going to stump for me. He's like, oh, come on, Hillary. I just want to get it on with this secretary. And they made him go vegan or something. So he doesn't have the extra fat to burn. He needs more calories, but Hillary Clinton won't let him have the Big Mac and the milkshake because he might keel over. So he's like, miserable Bill has to go out and stump for her because he's more popular than his wife is. And she hates the fact that he is. Oh, God, fucking, you can tell. Just the look on their faces when they're at a rally together. He's just sitting there, he's leering off into the audience looking up skirts. And Hillary Clinton knows it, and she's just like, oh, fucking come on, Bill. I'm trying to be the president here. I'm trying to get you back in the White House so that we can exonerate ourselves for our various high crimes and misdemeanors, and all you can do is think about boobies. But Hillary Clinton, meanwhile, she's unlovable. Even a lot of her fans are like, yeah, at some point, she's got to stop complaining. Yeah, why don't you do something? She started off with a bang. Trump gets elected. She takes a few days off, wanders off into the woods, looks disheveled and fucked up. By the way, she's broken her wrist in a fall in India, and she had a separate incident where she slipped going down some stairs. She's obviously not well. People, Huma's just sitting there like, it's totally normal for her to slip. She does it all the time. Fucking deal with it. Hillary Clinton spent so long blaming so many people that even a lot of her fans are like, at some point, you've got to let this go, Hillary. She started off with the hashtag resist stuff. She was at the forefront of that, and it was popular among her fans. They totally forgave her for losing, because then they're like, well, we're going to have a revolution. We're going to have a revolution by having a multi-million-dollar corporate authoritarian named Hillary Clinton, who's already been in the White House. She's been a senator, secretary of state. She's a career politician with a hell of a lot of money, but she's the revolutionary that we deserve. Namely, not a revolutionary at all, because you're a dumbass if you think anything Hillary Clinton has ever done in her life is revolutionary. She is a total stickler for being a neoliberal centrist moron. She just sucks down foreign cash and bankster cash. That's her claim to fame. Nothing revolutionary about that unless you're talking about a counter-revolutionary fascist movement against people who want to be left alone and have individualism. So Hillary Clinton starts off by doing hashtag resist. Gets a raving reception from her jaded fans. The pink-haired people who think the fact that she's female itself is a form of revolutionary activity. Then she peters out because she turns around, bites them in the ass, says, oh, I wish that these pink hat people had shown up in these numbers on voting day, which they did, and she was too dumb apparently to realize that there was a bad idea to say that. She comes out, doubles down on deplorables. Wonderful idea. And so she's done it so much now that you've got a Democrat, a liberal, Within Congress, it's a sitting Democrat who, probably doesn't want Clinton Cash running against her the next time. She's saying, go away. We don't need you. Connor Lamb. So, I'm critical of Nancy Pelosi. What's Nancy Pelosi? Another version of Hillary Clinton. They're the same thing. Literally running against their own Democratic establishment. The schism has begun to widen. Now, this particular schismatic tendency, I don't think, comes to fruition before 2020. Disadvantage for the Democrats. However, if they don't do well enough during the midterms, the stress from that might drive the schism faster, and by 2020, you might have a whole new Democratic type of platform. You might have a party that goes beyond, hey, we've got more female and black candidates than the other party. Look how progressive we are. We take corporate money. Those corporations have like slaves overseas and stuff, but look how progressive and wonderful we are. Yeah, we back war, but we've got D's after our name, so it's okay. Our wars aren't as bad as the Republican wars because we don't put on a cowboy hat like W did, so killing is okay. Yeah, we're xenophobic. We hate Russians. We're not too fond of males in general, but we're progressive, so ignore our wedge issues. Ours are progressive in nature. Yeah, we want to double your taxes, but that's a good thing because deficits that we ignored for 8 fucking years under Obama. Those aren't winning platforms. But it would be nice if you had a Democratic Party that formed some sort of sane alternative. By the way, the people that are on the right, or they're just Republicans, or they're just Trump voters, something. They might be independent. They're like, well, the Democratic Party's lost me forever. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. You could see that kind of reformation within the Democratic Party. 4 or 5 years ago, did you think that the Republican Party would leave off the gay marriage evangelicon bullshit wedge issues and actually become a fiscally conservative populistic movement like Trump has taken them in the direction of going? No, you probably wouldn't. You'd say that they're represented by a McCain or a Romney. Globalism, literally. But Trump comes in and in a very short order, within a year, turns it into a populist party. Improves the Republican Party greatly in so doing. That's why a lot of people don't like him. Because he's created a new political paradigm within one of the major parties. If he had been a third-party candidate, they would have called him a spoiler because he probably still would have gotten a significant amount of support. It would have been funny. It would have been another Ralph Nader. A person that millions of people would have sworn up and down should have won, was the actual good candidate. You won't be calling him a bigot, by the way, in a couple of years. When you see what he can do with the economy and foreign policy, I have a feeling that bigotry will be the last thing on people's minds. Then the paradigm will begin to settle down. But this is a good thing, by the way. It'll begin to normalize the concept that people should be individuals, should be left alone, they should be able to speak freely and defend themselves, that we shouldn't be beholden to a million other nations in the world. We should primarily look after ourselves, they should look after themselves, and, bless them in so doing. Doesn't matter what race the people of that nation are, they have a right to be left alone to do their own thing. They shouldn't be bombed, like by Obama or Bush. They shouldn't be bombed by drones and have tanks rolling through the streets. Leave them alone. Let them solve their own problems, build their own cultures. They did it before. In many cases, you have like Libya, you have a stable culture. Now it's bullshit because Obama decides to run a no-fly zone, get rid of the one person holding it all intact. Now they've gone from almost first world. They're so close. Libya is so close to being a developed nation, based partially on oil sales, partially on, hey, we have a secular government. Unlike all of our competitors around here who have hardline Islamic leaders, so close. Now they're deep third world. Sub-Somalian levels of poverty in some areas of Libya now. Tribal warlords run around killing each other because there was one case. This was reported on widely. A monkey grabbed a girl's skirt in a market and it caused intertribal warfare and killed 100 people. Wouldn't have happened when Gaddafi was the leader there. Trust me. Wouldn't have happened under Gaddafi. He was a bad person, but he was better than the alternative. So Democrats have said to Clinton, shut up. You're no longer the head of the Democratic Party. But here's the problem. So long as she remains above the ground instead of below it, she is the de facto face of the Democratic Party. There is no Democrat that's more iconic at the moment, that represents Democrats more than Hillary Clinton. She's the face of your party. Own up to the fact that you made a lot of mistakes. And she should own up too, but much of the Democrats have the same problem Hillary Clinton has, but as a political movement. Not an individual, but as a collective. They just can't own up to the fact that it wasn't bigots that, beat him in the election. It wasn't bad people. It wasn't people who are looking backwards instead of forwards. It was average people who are tired of the Democrats insulting them. Specifically, the excuses that they make are just a second layer of insults upon the ones that caused them, in many cases, to lose handling. It wasn't just Hillary Clinton that lost. The Democrats got practically wiped out on a state-to-state level. You got wiped out in state legislatures and governor's seats. There's a reason for that. It's because you looked out of touch. Now, how could that possibly happen? If Trump was so horrible, so unlikable, so miserable, and everyone hated him so much, how is it that the Republicans beat you up on every possible level? You've got to do some soul searching. If you don't, your party will continue to languish. Looking forward, you're saying, hey, we might retake a few House seats. Wonderful. So you lose a couple seats in the Senate, you regain a few in the House. How's that a victory? You're still behind in both. Trump's still the president. He's not going to be impeached. It doesn't matter how many times he says, fuck Mueller. He's not going to get impeached for saying, oh, maybe I should fire this asshole. Because there's no Russian collusion. Your insurance policy is beginning to wear thin, I think, with the firing of a cave. I think he's at this point, he can just poke you over and over again. He'd pound you in the fucking neck, and you're not going to do anything about it. You're not going to be able to indict him. There's no evidence to indict him on. Oh, it's going to be very, very funny indeed. And trust me, Trump, as a master strategist, he can defeat you. And it seems like a lot of people aren't taking that into consideration. They thought he'd be beaten the first time. They thought he'd be beaten during the primaries. He wasn't. During the general, and he wasn't. They thought he'd be out on his ass within a few months of taking office due to massive depression, and he's still there. Have fun. That's about all. Peace out.